2025 has been an incredible year for gaming, with so many heavy hitters absolutely dominating the spotlight, but underneath that spotlight have been some truly remarkable experiences that have barely gotten a mention, so I decided to just round up a few of the games that I feel simply haven't gotten enough love this year. Before we start, I just wanted to let you know that in just a few short days, I will be ranking every single 2025 game that I played this year, and I played over 30 of them, so that should be fun. And then the following week, I will be ranking every single game I played this year, regardless of what year they released. And I played over 60 games, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss that. But enough waffling, let's get into the gems. I was actually looking forward to Keeper for quite a while, and I did enjoy the game. However, I don't really see this as this incredible piece of interactive media that a lot of other people do. The puzzles are quite simple, and I don't really think the story did anything special, but with that said, the game simply is a visual spectacle. It looks really beautiful at times, and the art direction is just simply fantastic, and I do think that the gameplay does evolve and become much more interesting in the latter half of the game, and especially towards the end. So I kind of wish that they didn't waste the first half of the game with the chosen gimmicks, but at the same time, the game is still a really cool experience, although it is a bit short. I didn't expect too much from the Precinct, but I was actually left pleasantly surprised. It is essentially just a police simulator, where you set out on your shift and you do police stuff. Everything from dishing out parking tickets, to chasing robbers and drug dealers, to following high-speed pursuits via helicopter. There is a story going on, but it's not really too memorable and it is extremely cliche. There's some gangs you're trying to take down, and there's a serial killer on the loose, but it's not as interesting as it sounds like it should be. I also think the way the game's structured is a little bit strange, because you sort of just gather evidence while you're out doing police work, and every now and then, it seems RNG dependent, you will get some evidence that will progress the story, which seems a bit strange, but I didn't really mind that, because going around, doing police work, handing out parking tickets, reading rights or whatever, actually felt quite fun, and I got into a really nice loop of doing it. However, the driving is horrendously poor. Still, if you wanted 10 to 15 hours of police work, then the Precinct does give you that. Karma is such a strange game to discuss. Technically, this is a psychological horror game, but I think of it more as a visual spectacle told in the form of a walking sim. It does have some chase sequences like you would expect a horror game to, although they are pretty much just walking forwards. It does have some puzzles, but they are incredibly cookie cutter. The true value for me comes from how the game used its visuals to explore its themes. It is heavily inspired by 1984 and other dystopian media. It is a really difficult game to recommend. It's not very long, it doesn't do anything special from a gameplay standpoint, but it is one game I am extremely glad that I played, and one I probably won't forget for quite a long time, just due to how well it told the story it wanted to tell, and I did think it was a very interesting experience. South of Midnight made me realise that I miss playing games like South of Midnight. The art style has this stop motion inspired look that I really loved. The soundtrack really gets this deep south vibe, and the story I thought was really human, with some really interesting characters and some very good dialogue. The only place that South of Midnight really falls short is in the combat. It is extremely boring and repetitive. It does very little to actually enhance the experience, so much so in fact that the game actually gives you the option to turn off the combat entirely in the options menu, which I thought was pretty funny. Still, I absolutely loved the experience. I don't think we get many games that play like South of Midnight anymore, and it was just really nice to play a game like this, because I feel like we used to get a lot more games like this. Placing Lost Records on a list like this is quite difficult. For the record, this game has a truly abysmal ending. It's sequel bait. It is one of many games in 2025 that just seem to end. It rushed its character development. Not great. I also felt that it struggled heavily with its pacing. Still, I absolutely loved it. It is a game about friendship, about nostalgia, about clinging to our fondest moments for as long as we can, as fleeting as they may be. I absolutely do somewhat view Lost Records as a game of missed potential, but the thing for me with Lost Records is I feel like they absolutely nailed the vibe. The music is just awesome, the visuals are so stylized, the game just really worked for me, but I do still need to acknowledge that it is a deeply flawed game, but I think if you enjoy games sort of like Life is Strange, then I think this is something you will enjoy. Don't get me wrong, it's not as good as Life is Strange, but I think that you will still get enjoyment and value out of the game if you are a fan of those types of games, as I am. Sword of the Sea is a very strange game to recommend because you really need to be into these type of games and also in the right mood to play these types of games. There is very little gameplay. The experience is hinged much more on the spectacle of its visuals and the movement mechanics. It is a very short game. I beat it in 2 sittings, and I think both of the sittings were around 2 hours. But it is an experience that I did really, really enjoy. It is not going to be for everybody, as there is not too much going on gameplay-wise, but if you like games like Abzu and games like The Pathless, then I think that you will definitely enjoy Sword of the Sea, because there isn't really any reason you'd like those games, but not this one. I thought the visuals were great, and everything else was just really, really good. Now, you're probably going to see this game here, and you may be confused as to what it is, but hear me out. Promise Mascot Agency is genuinely some of the most fun I have had with any game all year. You play as an ex-Yakuza forced to work at a mascot agency after a deal goes wrong, where you send these weird-looking guys on jobs to earn money. The game is essentially a capitalist simulator where you're trying to maximise your profits to pay off a debt. But you also learn of this conspiracy in this small town and you attempt to get to the bottom of it. The gameplay is essentially just driving around and finding upgrades to your business and finding certain items that will help make sort of these friends you have even stronger in combat. We'll get to that. There is this deck builder element to the game, which is really fun in bursts, where you get sort of these friends in the town, and when you complete their quests, which is basically just grabbing stuff, as I mentioned before, you then bring them to them, and then their card for the deck building gets stronger, and it's just really, really fun. The story is also better than I expected it to be, even though it is very, very often ridiculous. I genuinely can't quite put into words why I love this game so much, but it is 15 hours of just pure, unadulterated fun. I swore I wouldn't become addicted to Ball XP, unfortunately I lied. Now, you may argue this game isn't necessarily underrated because there was a decent amount of noise about it when it released, but I feel like a lot of that has died down, and I feel like the game is much better than that. I feel like this should have that sort of lasting impact of games like Vampire Survivors and Balatro. It is a roguelite where you send your little guys into the pit and you shoot balls at enemies to try and reach the end and beat the final boss. Then you use the materials you harvest to upgrade your base. It is a wonderfully satisfying loop that never stops being fun. There is loads of different characters that completely reshape how the game is played, such as making the game turn-based or having a character that chooses the upgrades for you. The variety is just off the charts, and so is the fun factor. So those were my picks for the most underrated games of 2025. Which games really stuck out to you this year? Please let me know what your favourite games of the year have been so I can make sure I don't miss them, as I'm always on the hunt for an underrated banger. Remember, very soon we will be ranking all the games I played this year, 2025 or otherwise, so please make sure to subscribe so you don't miss that. If you enjoyed this video, then please leave it a like, as it really does help me out. But for now, that is all. Have a nice day and goodbye.